This is episode 41 of Audacity to Lead.
Inspiring, actionable content that helps you get focused, get started, and be impactful. This is Audacity to Lead.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Audacity to Lead. My name is Dayo Samuel, and this is the podcast where I give you the courage and necessary insight to step out and lead with more influence. Today on this episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 4 major things I learned at Excellence in Leadership Conference, which just ended last Friday. And then I'm going to be recommending a conference to you that you can attend later this month. Now, the thing is, I love conferences, especially when they have to do with the direction I'm heading at a particular stage of my life, at a particular point in my life. I remember my days as an undergraduate in Federal University of Technology, Akure, then FUTA. I will leave classes to go for programs, conferences, and events. Eventually, what I am today is a reflection of deposits made from all of these programs, events, conferences put together, and personal inputs from people, coaches, counselors, mentors, and all that. So today, I just want to take this time to just talk about my experience, or most importantly, the key lessons, the 4 key lessons I learned at Excellence in Leadership Conference last weekend. Now, Excellence in Leadership Conference is organized by Daystar Christian Center, and this happens to be the 3rd time I'm attending ELC, my first being 2012, then 2014, and then now 2015. Now, last year 2014, around this same time, I met with Victor Bassey and we talked, which eventually led me to hiring him to help me redesign my business system and my positioning. And last week at Excellence in Leadership Conference at Daystar, the same place we met a year ago, we got together, and one of the things he said was, see what you have become in 1 year. And we laughed over it. But the thing is, so much has happened in the last 1 year of being at the conference and this year. And of course, the conference added a lot of fuel to my drive. And what I earned today is actually a reflection of that. Now, today, I want to share with you 4 key things actually, that I learned from this last conference. And then I'm going to recommend a particular conference to you. Now, what will I say I've gained from attending conferences? Now, at conferences over time, I've established new connections and reconnected with old ones. For example, I met with Gabriel Olatuji legend at this last ELC. I met with Boluwat Ife Adesuji, who is popularly known as Ife Inspires. I met with Isaac Akinpelu, who is my friend. Wale of Olorio.com, who is a makeup artist. He's a popular makeup artist. In fact, I met with a particular guy who's a voiceover artist. And the moment I met him, one of the things I said is, I'll need your services as a podcaster. And we laughed. And of course, that was very, very serious. Now, one of the persons I met also is Adiola Folorunso of Fabrics and More, Coach Ijachi of the popular hip hop group Dual Edge, who has been my paddy all the way from my days in Benue, in Makodi. Now, it was even at this same conference that I saw Lanre Olushola in person for the first time. Funny enough, it was this same conference last year that I saw Praise for Wewe for the first time and met Matthew Adedoyin for the first time. Now, the thing is, a conference actually goes beyond just what we go there to learn. Aside from what we get to learn, there's an immense value you get from being in the same room with a couple of people who have the same interests as you. So attending conferences, attending programs and events is not just a way for you to just hang out. It's also a way for you to refresh. And right now, I'm actually refreshed, feeling fired up to reach for the next 1 year. Now, at this conference this year, ELC 2015, which theme was servant leadership, there are 4 key things I learned, which I'm going to be sharing with you. And I'm going to be relating that to how they apply to you in a moment in time. Now, first of all, one of the things I learned was taught by Boju Oyemade, and that has to do with the concept of ownership. And he said, take ownership of what you have. So let's look at that concept of ownership. Let's say you run a group of people, maybe you run an online community. Let's even say you run a network, a small group of people. Maybe that's where you're exercising your leadership. Now, taking ownership simply means that you come to a realization where you know that everything you need is wrapped in the people you already have. Now, when I heard that, one of the first things that jumped into my mind is Nigeria Podcast Network. So I told myself, I said, so that means everything I'm actually trying to get is actually in these over 400 people I already have in this community. And that made my resolution even stronger, that I was going to serve these people even deeper. And that's my first lesson: ownership. Take ownership of what you already have. In fact, I think one of the things Boju Oyemade said is that, if I remember very well, he said, be grateful for where you are and not what you have. And I believe that's because where you are is on a journey to where you are going. Anyway, let's move over to number 2, the second lesson, key lesson I learned from this conference. And that has to do with the power of stories. And that was from the media, the entertainment section, handled by Kunle Afolayan. Now, Kunle Afolayan is a very popular, successful movie maker, director, actor, all of them combined together. Now, when he was handling his session, he opened up with a particular 7 minutes footage of a movie he has just shot, I think, The CEO. And from there, he picked up, and everything he taught for the whole time of his session were embedded in stories. In fact, he didn't say point 1, point 2 like I'm doing now. He simply told stories on end. And man, people were busy taking notes. I was like, okay, so people are actually learning from these stories. And what does that go to tell you? Simple, it is that, and I think I've said this on a previous episode of the podcast, that people can copy principles, people can copy tactics, steps, and strategies, but people cannot copy stories, because stories are individual to you. And that goes on to tell you that whenever you have the time to teach, to share, to write, to influence people, stories are one of the most important ways. And some people will call it metaphor. Those are ways for you to actually influence people. It actually teaches something deeper than just saying step 1, point 2, like I'm doing right now. In fact, what I'm teaching you right now is also wrapped up with stories, if you get what I'm trying to say. So second point is the power of stories. Third thing I learned from Excellence in Leadership Conference this 2015 had to do with the media session handled by Victor Ladokun. Victor Ladokun is the popular man behind Turning Point TV program. Now, I got to know Victor Ladokun when I was very small. Every time I see him on TV, I wonder, okay, see this Nigerian Oyinbo guy. But over time, I got to understudy him. Now, that sparked my interest in being at his session. And he spoke on media as a catalyst. Now, he shared something very amazing. He said statistics show that pastors are the biggest users of TV in Nigeria. And most of the time, the audience for those pastors are not there. In fact, the way he said it goes like, no matter the statistics, the pastors, they mention about their viewership, it is not really true, because the programs are boring and they are almost the same. A pastor will finish 15 minutes, another pastor will take over the next 15 minutes. In fact, he said that's the tyranny of the remote. It says once people know that it's now time for Christian program, or now it's time for or there's a Christian station, they quickly grab their remote and move it to the next station, move it to the next program. Now, as a podcaster listening to me right now, as a leader who influences people, whether through writing, through saying, or through speaking, or through showing things, that tells you that you have better advantage. You can actually capture attention. You can actually capture attention in a way that TV is not doing. And anyway, it goes on to mention 4 key things to ensure your content has when you are broadcasting, when you're actually sharing content. And I want to chip that in for you. First of all, it says to make sure your content entertains, it educates, third, it inspires, and finally, it informs. There's a way for you to do all of that. I'm not going to go into the details of that on this particular episode. Now, number 4, which is the key part, the one that I actually enjoyed the most, was handled by Victor Bassey, and he was talking about leadership. I think he was talking particularly about servant leadership. And one of the statements he made that actually caught my attention has to do with excellence. He says excellence is a better way to do what you are doing. And in his presentation, he made a statement that hasn't left me since then. He said, if you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way. Wow. If you cannot do great things, do small things in a great way. As he thought, he used an analogy from Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. Would you believe that pyramid has actually been updated? Funny enough, I didn't know until I heard him talk about it. Now, man's needs have gone beyond what Abraham Maslow postulated in 1943. It has gone on to include a lot of other things. Originally, there are 5 motivational needs, biological and physical, which includes the need for air, food, water, shelter, sex, sleep, warmth. Then it also goes to include, then there's the need for safety and protection. There's a need for social life, which has to do with love and belonging and some sense of intimacy. Then there's a need for esteem, which has to do with status, prestige, respect, and independence, kind of. Then there is the need for self-actualization, which is where realizing personal potential can be found. Now, this Maslow's hierarchy of needs have been updated to be 8 needs now. And that was quite surprising to me. I wasn't aware of that until I heard him make that presentation. Now, let me talk about that hierarchy of needs and how that actually applies to you. Now, in that update, number 5 has been found to be cognitive needs, which has to do with knowledge and giving meaning to things. That you are listening to me right now says that you have a cognitive need. You want to learn more. You want to know more so that you can be more. So there's cognitive needs. And number 6, on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, number 6 right now is aesthetic needs. The need to be appreciated for beauty, balance, and form. I guess this is why some of us try to look good. Anyway, number 7 is the need for self-actualization, which is the same thing I mentioned earlier on, which has to do with realizing personal potential. And then number 8, and this was actually very, very key. Number 8 on Maslow's hierarchy of needs right now is transcendence, which is the need to help others achieve self-actualization. I think one of the reasons I'm doing this podcast is because I want you to actually self-actualize. even as I self-actualize. I guess that's why you also want to lead with more influence. I guess this is the reason why you are actually particular about building your authority, building your influence, and of course, helping people make their lives better. You are interested in helping people go from where they are to where they want to be. I understand that is a need called transcendence. You want to go beyond yourself to make some input, some impact in the lives of others. Now, I know you have listened to me so far. You may want to listen to this again anyway. But then, I want to recommend the conference to you guys. If you can attend, it will be a great one. The conference is organized by Coach Sam Obafemi, who was my coach a couple of weeks ago in 7 to 14 days or so. I think it's 7 to 10 days that we worked together. My mind was blown. It's just the kind of things. In fact, it was from there that I was able to set a completely new financial goal, which I'm already beginning to hit right now. Anyway, here's more info about this particular conference, Behavioral Change Practitioner Conference.
Are you a counselor, life coach, therapist, HR manager, public speaker, consultant, or a student of relevant practices? Then this is a must-attend conference for you. The annual Behavioral Change Practitioners Conference. Come and learn from some of the best practitioners in Nigeria in this 2-day conference as they guide you on how to build a sustainable practice in Nigeria. Keynote speaker Lanre Olushola. Other speakers include Praise Fowowe, Innocent Usar, Dr. Maimuna Kadri, Dr. Tyler Ilori, and Sam Obafemi, your host. Date is the 20th and 21st of November 2015, and the time is 10 a.m. daily. Venue, GCC Hall, Unilag Chapel Conference Center, University of Lagos. Registration fee, 25,000 Naira only. For further inquiries, please call 0807 361 0884. Email conference@samobafemi.com or tweet at BCPCONF. Behavioral Change Practitioners Conference. Making impact, making profit.
Wow, welcome back. This is where I want to bring this episode of Audacity to lead to an end. I want to say thank you for joining me on this episode. Thank you so much for joining me. And I want to trust that I'm going to see you on the next episode, where I'm going to be sharing something completely different from this with you. Well, the good part is this. Remember to get focused, get started, and be impactful.